Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Auntie Joan and Ontie providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Auntie Joan.
Hi, Auntie.
How are you this fine day?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Oh, I'm just fine, thanks.
You're welcome.
What's been going on with you?
Well, I went in for my every other year echocardiogram, I guess,
Oh,
to check
every other year.
every other year. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is that biannually? Yeah,
Yes.
biannually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I finally got a technician who actually explained to me what was going on and what she was doing. And it
What a
was quite
novelty.
interesting. Yeah, I know. It's incredible to see that. One
Yeah.
thing I did tell her is at one of the views, the heart where it shows the four chambers, it kind of looked like a scarab,
What's a scarab?
like a beetle.
Oh.
They were used quite a bit in Egyptian jewelry and stuff like that.
Oh.
Scarabs, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So don't
hmm
keep us in suspense. How did it go?
Well, it went fine. I mean, I won't know anything till I hear from my doctor. So
Mm-hmm.
another thing is you can see the flippers, when the heart goes into like one of the sides and then it goes through to the other side. That's just really how people come up with this stuff is just, I mean, you got to give people credit because you could see the little flippers when the blood was going in and then when it was going out. And it was kind of reminded me of going to the grocery store, in the old times when the gates would open or the doors would open, not slide back, but open out or open
Mm-hmm.
in. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of. And then the colors, the blood going in is red and then coming out, it's blue. And it was just fascinating. Fascinating.
Well, lovely. Lovely. And
Yeah.
everything looked good from your text perspective?
Oh, they don't tell you. Yeah. Yeah, they
Gotcha.
don't tell you. And I don't ask because I know they're not supposed to. So,
But you're still in sinus rhythm, yes?
yeah, still in normal sinus rhythm. Hallelujah. Amen.
Good. That's awesome
Yeah,
sauce, Auntie
I
Joan.
know. I know.
That's great.
Yeah,
See? Second time's the charm.
I guess. Well, that plus getting that,
The
let's see,
medication.
thyroid stimulating hormone back to a measurable level.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that must have been what caused it, or,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad that's all normalized and looking good.
And before I went in, the night before I went in, I got one of those little credit card things that you can put your fingers on and it tells you it'll do a heart rhythm reading.
Oh,
Yeah, it does like a mini EKG or whatever it is. And that came back as normal sinus rhythm. So I thought, well, maybe it's okay then. So it
very
turned out to
cool.
be accurate.
Cool. Is that credit card thing something that you have, or is that only at the doctor's office?
Oh, no, I bought it. You can get them online. They come
Oh,
like the size of a credit card, or you can get them other sizes. But yeah, they're under $100 usually.
oh. And you just
I
put
mean,
your fingers on it and it
your
tells you?
thumbs, yeah, you put your thumbs on it, and
Huh,
yeah, you have to turn it on. There's, it's incredible that the technology these days.
it tells you.
Um, yeah, you actually have a little button that you have to turn it on, and this little red light starts blinking, and you put your fingers on there, and then you hook up your phone. There's an app for your phone, so that shows you what it's doing, and that's where you get your feedback.
Very cool. Very,
Mm-hmm.
very cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a woman for the new millennium.
I tell you what. Very
Yeah,
cool.
so that was my excitement for the week. What
Mm-hmm.
about you, Auntie? What you
Uh,
doing?
let's see. So I took a day trip to a gas station of all things.
Oh, that's exciting.
Sure. It was
In town or did you go out of town for?
I went with Hey C and we went to Buc-ee's, the new Buc-ee's in Loveland.
Oh, I saw that on the TV. Mm-hmm.
OMG. Let me just tell you, that is a hopping place. It is huge. beyond huge. Apparently these Buc-ee's are all across Texas. I don't know where else they are. Colorado got their first one. It's in Loveland, Colorado.
Whereabouts is that? I mean,
Right off of I-25.
by
Very.
the by those old
I don't know anything about Loveland. I cannot help you at
well,
all.
they had those what do they call them? Those shopping centers that where they would
Mini
have
outlet?
like yeah. Is it over by those or
Like I
oh
said,
you didn't?
I don't know anything
Okay.
about Loveland.
Okay. Okay.
It's very big. You can see it from the highway. And we got there just around noon. So, of course, there was a lot of people there getting lunch and stuff. But it is ginormous. I have pictures of all the cars. Now, keep in mind, folks, this is noon on a Monday, not a Saturday, not a Sunday, but a Monday. The gas station pumps were hopping. The parking lot was crazy busy. The amount of people that were inside this things. Now, it's only been open since like middle of March, I guess, is when it
Yeah,
opened.
it's
So
not been
still,
long.
it's still new. So I'm wondering if it's going to taper off in time. It was just surprising the amount of people being there on a Monday. That was very, very surprising. You walk in, you get greeted to Buc-ee's by like 3 or 4 people. Because there's cash registers almost as soon as you walk in, and so those if they're not waiting on people, they make sure to welcome you to Buc-ee's. Somebody in that cashier grouping will welcome you to Buc-ee's. Then lots of Buc-ee's swag all over the place. Their mascot is a beaver, and he's very cute. I've got pictures of the beaver from the front of the store as well. They have a big brass looking beaver thing right when you come in the entrance, and then you walk a little bit further. Smack in the middle is their big barbecue area, and they make different types of barbecue sandwiches: brisket, chicken, pork, pulled pork, whatever.
Holy smokes.
Now, you don't order there. They basically make the sandwiches. They're constantly making sandwiches, basically, and they have them all wrapped and ready to go. So it's a grab and go kind of thing. But they say something, and I have no idea what the heck they were saying. I could honestly care less. But they like yell something, and then the rest of the group in the middle yells something back and in unison. And I don't know what they're trying to tell us. They have on the sides, they have like burritos and other stuff. They actually did have a vegan burrito. So those who are vegan out there, they actually did. But that was the only vegan thing that I found in the store. Besides chips, I mean, like they have like fresh fried potato chips that were, you could tell they were just peeled right off of the potato kind of thing and made into chips. And those are hot, and you can grab those to go as well. The one downside, you think with all those people and all the food that they have there is absolutely zero place to sit and eat it.
Oh my gosh.
It's basically they're expecting you to take it out of the store to wherever to go eat it. There's not a single table anywhere. There's not a single chair anywhere. You must take it to go.
Wow.
So that was bizarro. Hey C and I weren't expecting that. We were actually thinking we were going to have lunch there, but when we realized it, and we don't know Loveland, so it wasn't like we could grab it to go and go somewhere. And we found somewhere after the fact. We ended up going to a different Mexican restaurant just to have lunch after we went to Buc-ee's. But so we didn't eat any of their stuff. We did buy beaver nuggets. I call them beaver balls, but beaver nuggets, they're really good. They're sweet. They're these little, Casey equated it to like caramel corn, although it wasn't popcorn in any way. It was more like almost, I don't know how to describe it, but they were really quite tasty. I had low expectations, and they were very, very, very good.
Could it have been cornmeal that they're
prepackaged, so they're not hot in any way. They're prepackaged. You can just go in and grab a bag. They tasted a little bit syrupy, like syrup, like maple syrupy. I don't know. They were really quite wonderful. And then we got chips. Those are the only 2 things we got from Buc-ee's, and we didn't buy any swag while we were there. But we found that strange. And there's no plans to expand and put in picnic tables or anything like that. It is meant to be a truck stop. That's what Buc-ee's really is. It's a truck stop. It's like Love's or Pilot or whatever. They really tout themselves as, having always super clean bathrooms and things like that. We did not use the facility, so I cannot comment on that. They did have like along the wall as well, like, big soda dispensing beverage dispensing things. We didn't partake, so I couldn't tell. It was over there. But they also had big, I wouldn't call, maybe kind of like a bakery area, but it was really more about the fudge. They had lots of fudge, different types of fudge. And they also had candied nuts, different types of candied nuts and things like that. Those were warm. Those were like in a cone thing that you could take, grab. Everything's grab and go. There is nothing like you order anything or talk to a person. I'm sure if you had a question about about something, they're all there, but you don't have to, nobody waits on you. You just grab and go kind of thing. It was interesting. Like I said, I had never heard of it before. Hey C had mentioned, I'm like, well, let's go. Like, let's go check it out. So that's what we did this past Monday. It was, like I said, and when we left the Mexican restaurant, we ended up going to La Casita, if I recall correctly. It was very, very good, by the way. Excellent Mexican food.
Too bad I can't ask you where it is because you don't know.
It was 8 minutes from Buc-ee's. I can tell you that. It was an exit
North or
before
south?
coming back. So when you're going to Buc-ee's, it's the exit before Buc-ee's. And when you're leaving Buc-ee's, it's the very next exit getting off of I-25 South. It was very, very tasty. But there was a park over there. Only had a few picnic tables. I'm like, well, at least now we know if we ever wanted to eat at Buc-ee's, you can actually get it to go and drive and exit back towards where we're going. Go to a little park there. It was very small little park, but it was cute. It looked really nice. Yeah. From what we saw. But of course, we didn't see that until after we ate our Mexican food. No alcohol at La Casita, but it really wasn't necessary. We had sopapillas. I had vegetable burrito. The sauce they put on it was quite tasty. The chips and salsa were really good. Hey C had a spinach quesadilla she said was very good. That came with refried beans.
Wow.
Everything was quite tasty. So I definitely recommend that. We'll put a link on the site for La Casita.
There's supposed to be, there is, In-N-Out Burger up there.
Oh, those are so overrated. I don't even know.
Well, that's what I've read. That's what I've heard. But I guess it's,
it's huge. California people cannot say enough about it. I ate it out there. It was before I was vegan. And I had a burger and I'm like, I do not get the hype at all. Maybe if I grew up with it, it would be the most wonderful thing ever. I had it when I was an adult sometime in my 30s and
now you wouldn't go anyway.
No, but I just passed one closer than Loveland not that long ago. I don't remember where I was now. Where was I? I know where I was. It was when I took Killian to Veg down in Edgewater.
Oh.
I think I passed. So somewhere in the Lakewood area, there was an In-N-Out burger because I was like, there's another one of those. Yeah. So they're sprouting up quite a bit throughout Colorado. But Buc-ee's apparently the only one so far is the one in Loveland. I mean, it's a sight to be seen, I guess. And I'm sure the barbecue smelled really good. So I and it's a Texas owned chain. So I got to believe it's good Texas barbecue, but
no barbecue tofu.
No barbecue tofu.
Oh, they had to make some of it.
Not that I saw.
Well, years and years and years ago, when John was probably 8 years old, Culver's was a big frozen custard thing back in the Midwest. And the first one that was built anywhere near here was in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So we made a day trip. John's mom, his sister Claire, and I, and we went from Boulder up to Cheyenne, Wyoming to get some frozen custard.
But from Boulder, that's not that far, like an hour and a half tops, right?
Well, but I mean, to go for custard, come on.
Everything from my house is an hour, so that doesn't seem like a big deal to me.
But we did make a day of it because, we went to their botanical gardens up there. Claire was bringing Flat Stanley. So we took pictures of Flat Stanley.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's where the kids, they make this character out of paper, cardboard. They call it Flat Stanley. And they go around to different locations and they take pictures of it there. So that's what we did with her, is at the Botanic Gardens. She took her Flat Stanley out and we took pictures of it. And then John found a skateboarding park, so he got to go skateboarding. Yeah, that was a long time ago, but it was a fun day trip. And
nice.
Yeah.
The
things we do for food,
right? So if you're in the Loveland area and you feel like you need to check it out and got a hankering for some barbecue, that you absolutely have to take away. Now, I will say I saw them making the sandwiches, and the amount of barbecued meat that they put on the sandwiches was a lot.
Wow.
So just another reason why I'm surprised that there's not a place where you can actually sit down and eat it, because I think that would be extremely messy to try and drive and eat something like that. But I said they did have burritos, which are fully contained, so that would seem a little bit more conducive to driving and eating, or having, eating in a car, whether you're driving or not. But the barbecue sandwiches, they looked, they're wrapped, so I guess you could fold the wrapping back and, make sure it caught anything that might fall. It was just strange. I'm like, you guys went through all this effort to make what looked like good food, but nowhere to eat it. So that just seems like or swing and a miss, I guess.
Well, they probably want to get the people in and out,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, because in a normal truck stop, it's rare that there's outdoor, some seating of some kind. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. I know like Love's has little associated restaurants inside some of their facilities
Hmm.
that had like at least a few tables and chairs. Yeah, this was a little strange, but
Hmm.
didn't seem to deter anybody because I told you it was a mob scene.
Wow.
Absolute mob scene. I was very, very surprised. Yeah,
Well,
but the
I
mascot's
bet it's
cute.
going to be crazy this summer, out on
Yes.
I-25,
Yes, for
Wow.
sure. So that happened. Moose came to the house again.
Yeah?
That was exciting. I opened up the shade and the front window at 6:30 in the morning and got startled by two meese
Oh my
standing there
goodness.
munching on some of the trees around, pretty close to the window. Not right at the window, but not too far away either. So I got some cool pictures. And then one of them mooned me because I'm gonna start an animal butt wall in my house of pictures of animal butts. I've got a good one of a deer with like a 12-point buck with his butt, and then I've got a
Wow. What
turkey
a
one
good
as well.
idea.
Yes. So
Cute.
so
Cute.
maybe I'll post some of those pictures at the time we air this particular episode to show
And maybe put
folks.
some googly eyes on them.
No. So that was fun. They're coming out again, but they're still a little mangy looking. They're shedding their winter coats still so they don't look as pretty as they will as the summer progresses. Still fun
Did
to
you
see.
did you post that picture of the moose with the hole in its head from where its antler went left off?
With a hole? No, I did
Yeah.
not post that.
Oh, that would be something people might be interested in.
Yes, that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yes, I can do that as well. That's
Yeah.
fun,
I mean,
fun wildlife.
you got up close and personal enough to at least get a good picture of it.
Yes, if I stand on my deck, I'm very comfortable standing on my deck. It is, raised deck, so I can, if they come close to the deck, I can take pretty decent close-up pictures of them. They're not afraid, which they should be. It's a catch-22. You want them to come close so you can take pictures and not be afraid, but at the same
Hmm.
time, they should be afraid of humans.
Which would you rather run into in the woods, a man or a moose?
Um, oh, a moose for sure, with caveats.
Oh yeah?
Yes, as long as it is far enough away where it won't hurt me, and it can't be a female with a young because they attack. They
Mm-hmm.
go on the offensive. If there's no young involved, they're usually on the defense. They just kind of watch you and
Mm-hmm.
go
Mm-hmm.
about their business. But if there's a young involved, then they go on the offensive. It doesn't really matter how far away you are, they could launch an attack. And they are no joke. You do not want to get attacked by a moose.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's I guess one of the big things now that's on TikTok and other social media is they ask women which they would rather encounter in the woods, a bear or a man. I'd say
Generally, I would feel safer with a moose or a bear.
yeah, well, 99% of the women that they show, I guess, choose a bear over the man.
Mm-hmm.
But here's something. I saw that men were asked which would they rather encounter in the woods, a bear or a woman. A lot of them, a woman. Yeah, they'd rather encounter a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But most women would rather encounter a bear.
Yeah.
And some of them even had comments
Yeah.
about why they would rather encounter a bear, like a bear would make my death quick. There's a higher chance a bear will stop, run away if I scream loud enough. People would believe me if I said I was attacked by a bear. And people wouldn't ask what I was wearing if a bear attacked me. I think it's kind of an interesting study on the human condition today.
Yes, it would be good if men read some of those to understand. I still think there's not a heightened awareness of just how unsafe women feel most of the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, vulnerable and
you know.
but I guess it's quite a topic out on social media and other shows. People are
Mm-hmm.
some are incensed, some are appalled that
Mm-hmm.
we're even asking that, but just my 2 cents.
What are y'all gonna do when TikTok goes away?
Well, I don't specifically go to TikTok. I kind of get the stuff like through Facebook or other, people who have
Gotcha.
copied and pasted. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but is it going to go away or is somebody going to buy it? Yeah. Who
I don't
knows?
know.
Who cares? Yeah.
Exactly.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're to the part of our program where we talk about what we are watching. Auntie Joni, tell me what you got.
I came across this documentary because I
Ooh.
love documentaries
Mm-hmm.
called Some Kind of Heaven.
Oh.
It's on free on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
You can also pay to rent it on Prime.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's available there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's about actually they take maybe 4 or 5 people who have moved to the villages in Florida. They kind of follow them around and they also give little insight into life in the villages in Florida. I found it to be so interesting.
Now this is a
Especially,
55 and older community, yes?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yes. A few years ago, I thought about moving down to Green Valley in Arizona, which is another over 55 thing,
Mhm.
because my brother and sister-in-law have a house down there, and I have a niece there, and I know some other people down there.
Sounds
What-
hot.
Hot, yes. Well, fortunately, I saw the light and decided not to. But anyway, one of the awesome things about these places is if you have interest in anything, there's a group that you can join and participate. I mean,
Mhm.
there's always something to do. They had acting classes, synchronized swimming, the golf cart, precision golf cart
Yes.
driving and
Yep.
stuff. But it does kind of help you get a different viewpoint of what life is like there. The 2 people that really got to me was Barbara, who she moved there with her husband 12 years ago,
Mhm.
and he passed away. And Dennis the gigolo.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
You know, it's like taking 30-year-olds, adding a few years to them, and they just haven't changed. Barbara was sad because all she said what she would really want to do is move back to Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And probably because, she's got kids back there or family, and it was home. It was home for most of her life.
Mhm.
And once her husband died, she was kind of there alone.
Alone
So,
with 155,000 other people.
yeah, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
not that easy to make friends after a certain age,
Mhm.
you know? Now down there I would think it wouldn't be too bad because a lot of everybody comes from some other location, and
Mhm.
it was just sad. I felt so bad for her.
But she came out of her shell later into the documentary. I think she fell victim to without my husband, I am lost. And I get that. I've never been married, but I get that mindset. But at the same time, the place is what you make of it. Like you said, there's 1,000 things to do there, all
Mhm, mhm,
different, pretty
mhm.
much anything you can think of. Like you said, there's a group for it.
And she did have a job. She worked
And she
too.
did work. When something tragic like that happens, it's hard to dust yourself off and think about life by yourself. I bet I would go out on a limb, and we didn't really talk about that in the documentary, but I would go out on a limb and say that her husband was probably more outgoing and
Mm,
was the person who would go meet people, and then she would meet the wives thereof
mhm,
or
mhm.
their significant other, or even if they were just hanging out with a gentleman that he had met or whatever. She relied on him for her social activities.
Mhm, mhm.
And when that was
That's a good point. Yeah.
and when he was gone, because that you saw, she started dancing towards the end. She was dancing by herself in the very last clip of her in the middle of, but she started talking to some gentleman when she was going to buy herself a golf cart. I
Mhm,
just love
mhm.
that they drive around in golf carts.
Oh, I liked him.
Oh yes, he was adorable.
It
But she
was.
also, again,
Yeah,
how they portrayed it in the documentary, and who knows if it was true or not. It
true.
definitely felt
True.
like she was enamored with him and thought that he was now going to be her, somebody who would get her into the social scene.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
he was that. I mean, as soon as they said he was a dealer for, like a car dealer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, well, right there, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. No offense, dude, but that's what car dealers do. So yes, he was being friendly, and he was even friendly when he saw her out and
Mm-hmm.
about. He made
He
sure that he
was.
spent time. He bought her
Yes.
drinks at the places and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he ignored her, but it seemed like she got upset when he started dancing with another woman. Like, oh, I guess we're not going to get together, is how I
Yeah.
interpreted.
Yeah. The way that they zoomed in on her face, she looked disappointed and all
Right.
that stuff. And the
Right.
woman he was dancing with was just dynamite. I mean, she was so vibrant and she
Yes.
looked like so much fun.
Right. Right. And he seemed like he was a lot of fun. So they
Yeah.
actually seemed like they would be a good couple.
Uh-huh.
And I
Uh-huh.
think if she stopped looking at him Barbara, if Barbara stopped looking at him as a possible, soulmate, for lack of better terms, and just saw him as
A
somebody to go
friend.
out with and hang
Yeah.
out with, and he would have introduced her to so many people. Maybe he did. Like I said, we don't know what really happens in these documentaries and how they shoot things and the angles they shoot them at and all that wonderful stuff. You
Mhm.
don't know what really is going on. You can only interpret what you see. I thought she was going to give up at that point, honestly. But then I loved at the end where they showed her not necessarily, she wasn't with people, she wasn't hanging out with people, but she was out there in the middle of the dance floor dancing. I'm like,
That's interesting. You thought that was neat. That was uplifting. To me, that I thought was depressing.
oh no. I thought she's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm not going to sit home in my
Mm.
house. I'm not going to just not go out and do anything. I'm going to put myself out there. If somebody comes over and starts dancing with me, I'll dance with, that's how I interpreted that last thing. I would have liked to have seen other people dancing with her. That would have made me even happier to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it definitely seemed a little bit, it seemed like to me she was in a better place than when we first met her. And all she wanted to do was go back to Boston.
I watched it again last night,
Mhm.
and I think she says in there that he had only died like 4 months ago.
Yes, it was new. It was just she was still grieving too during this
Well, my
documentary,
gosh,
for
4
sure.
months. It's like I wouldn't expect anybody to want to be looking for somebody until like at least a year, you know?
And I think that's where she I wish she had met a female friend
Yeah.
and started hanging out with a female friend rather than she went and, was trying to buy this golf cart and there's the dealer who's, very friendly, very personable, and all that. And to me, it seemed like she just latched onto him, was hoping that,
Mm-hmm.
this was going to get her into the social scene. I'm like, oh.
And there's a lot of people
Mhm.
who can't be by themselves.
Very true.
And I feel very bad for them
Agree.
because you're missing out on probably one of the neatest person you'll ever meet, right?
That's right. Yeah. There's lots of people who are just they have to have somebody, as you know.
And
I
me
am
too.
the exact opposite of that.
The
I
last
find
thing
that
I
to be a
want is
burden.
the last thing I want is somebody coming in and taking over my space and having to answer to and having to
Right.
check in with and
Right.
stuff like that.
I
No.
don't want somebody asking me in the morning what we're having for dinner.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Whatever's in the refrigerator, honestly. Or I'll go out and buy something. Like, I don't,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that's just not how
Yeah.
I want to be ever.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just don't like that prescription that level of prescription in your life.
And you can go quiet and be kind of introspective, and you don't have to worry about somebody saying, "What's wrong?"
Is everything okay? Do you need
Yeah.
anything? Can I help with
Yeah.
something? No, leave me alone. Killian just snuggles next to me and says, "You tell me when you want to go somewhere." And I say, "Okay." But if you just want to stay here, that's fine.
Yeah, I feel bad for people who just feel they have to have
Yes.
somebody with them all the time.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
And
agree.
then on the flip side of that is our Dennis.
Oh my
The
God.
guy.
So this guy, you tell him. You tell him about this guy.
Well, he lives in an RV.
No,
And
it's a van.
well, yeah, that's right. It's a van. He lives in a van down by the river for all USNL people. He went to the villages in Florida with one purpose, and that's to find a woman he could move in with who had the means. And now get this, a woman he wouldn't be embarrassed to be seen with.
That's right. This guy was
And
an
if you
asshole.
and if you see Dennis, he's got a pot belly.
Yep.
He's living in a van.
Mm-hmm.
He's got no money.
That's right. He does not live at the villages, folks.
No.
He goes there on the prowl for
Yes.
single women that will ultimately take care of him, but they have to be good looking. So he's not embarrassed to be seen with them. He is the epitome of an asshole. He literally has not a pot to piss in and feels like he has that luxury still to be able to be choosy. And, you know, he was something else, like you said.
And he thinks that he's a gift. He's a gift to these women he comes
Oh.
in contact with.
I just don't. And that woman who took him in, who
Yeah.
he had been with before, it seemed like,
Mm-hmm.
and she took him in, and I was just like, why would you ever do that? I felt bad for her. I was like, you got to have more self-esteem than that, because this guy.
I think she knew that it wasn't a true love connection, but I think she would have appreciated some respect. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She deserved it. He moved into her house.
But boy, as soon as he moved in, then you see him sitting at the table with a big cigar in his mouth, calling his mother. He's 81.
I know. I
mother?
fell over when he's like, "Hi, Mom," and I was like, "No, that can't be."
And she sounded good.
She sounded fine. That was a kicker. I agree.
But yeah, and then he's talking about, oh, well, I'm doing some handyman stuff and doing some DJing and
he wasn't doing any of that. None of it.
Bullshit.
Just 100% lying and just awful.
Yeah.
He's not a good human being.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
He's just not.
And so the first half, folks, the first half of the documentary is he's looking for housing. He's looking for someplace where he can stay, where he can live. So he finally gets in with this woman who was a nice woman. I really liked her too.
I liked her too. Very tan.
Yeah.
Very leathery skin, like they have down in Florida.
I wonder if she smokes cigarettes and talks with a raspy voice.
We didn't see her smoking a cigarette, but
No.
I would guess that she was a smoker in the past for sure.
Most of us were.
Very true.
So yeah, he takes up with her, he moves in with her, and then all of a sudden he's questioning, well, do I want freedom or comfort? And I'm thinking, you stupid jerk. You had the freedom and you were looking for comfort. Now you got the comfort and you want your freedom. So pick one and stick with it, buddy. And don't complain next time you're homeless.
That's right.
But I think he must rent a storage.
No, he was just in the parking lot.
But it looked like there was one scene where he goes to this storage place.
Yeah, to stay in the parking lot in his van because the cops don't patrol it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just awful. He got arrested at one point or got a ticket.
Yeah.
Arrested or got a ticket. I don't remember which. Like he was asked not to come back to the villages and the whole shebang. He's just creepy. He's a creep. He's a creep.
And I'm going to do a deep dive on this. I started to do it last night, but didn't continue, is to find out where they are now, what's going on with these people, because I care. If I invest that much time, I want to know what they're doing now. I mean, I hope Barbara's doing well, and Dennis, yeah, who knows if he's even still with us.
Right. Yeah.
And then you had Anne and Reggie, right? That was the couple where
Reggie had some issues.
He was doing, well, he had cocaine, but it wasn't his. Somebody gave it to him and he forgot he had it. Yeah, $5 worth. I don't know what he worth. Yeah.
And I guess I didn't understand that part. Maybe you can shed some light. It sounded like he ultimately found out that he was having mini strokes, or was it his wife that was having the mini strokes?
I thought it was him. He went in for
right?
MRI.
And that's why he just went off kind of the deep end. He was very into holistic Tai Chi, which isn't a bad thing. That's you don't have to have strokes to have that, but to the extreme. He was out there. I mean, they're filming a documentary. He's talking about going in the bedroom and whacking off and don't come in until I say it's okay. And I'm just like, what the hell is happening? This is an old man. Yeah. And he's, and he got arrested because caught with that small amount of cocaine. He went in front of a judge and he's trying to say, well, it's just, it's $5 worth of cocaine. And the judge kept saying, you are the most disrespectful plaintiff I've had in my court to date. And that was an old judge. So he'd been doing it for a while.
I didn't think he was that
I
disrespectful.
don't know if we saw all of it. I just think it was
Oh,
the
that's
fact that
true.
he was
Yeah.
flippant about, well, it was just $5 worth of cocaine. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's still an illegal drug. Like, you can't just wave it off and it's no big
Mhm.
deal.
Mhm.
And he's like, you are going to jail. He didn't, because he ended up coming back after having his MRIs and realizing he was having mini strokes and coming off of all the drugs. Maybe they gave him some different drugs for the strokes. Who knows? But he
And then
seemed a
he
little
and
bit
he
more lucid.
and he did say that all this legal stuff was causing a lot of stress on
Yes.
his wife. So he was trying to use her as a
Yes.
bargaining chip or
She was a
whatever.
very patient woman.
Oh my gosh.
There, because he
Oh
was
my
out there,
gosh.
man. He was having going through some very strange mental issues, and in the end, it seemed like when they found out he was having the menstruals, they must have put him on something, or maybe they did a surgery. Who the hell knows? They didn't really talk about it, but he seemed much better at the end of the documentary.
Mm.
Seemed back to normal, back to wanting to be a partner with his wife again, and actually spend
Mhm.
time with
Mhm.
her and engage in some of the activities that, because she was very much into the sports,
Mhm. Mhm.
pickleball and
Yeah.
golf and things like that. And all he wanted to do was meditate and get high and all that stuff. And at the end, he was actually participating in those things with her. So it
Yeah.
was good to see him turn around, and that goes to say, I mean, honestly, when you see such a shift, because apparently it was a ginormous shift in his attitude, in his mental state.
Mhm.
Don't just hope that it gets better. I mean, do something to see if something physiologically, I think that's how you say, is going on, versus just assuming that, oh, that's just
Mm.
the way he is now, and I'm just gonna roll with it. It's like, no, there turned out there was really something wrong with him.
Yeah.
He seemed
Yeah.
much better by the end of the documentary.
Mm.
So
Boy, you spend all those years with somebody and although he did say in their counseling session that they had talked about going their separate ways there for a while.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those places have good intentions. It can be a good sense of community, especially living in a house for a very long time, and you see that like your neighbors change typically. Sometimes
Mhm.
they don't, but
Mhm.
typically they change. So, you lose those connections over time. Like my parents still knew people in their neighborhood, but, the people that they were closest with had already left the
Yeah.
neighborhood and moved
Yeah.
on to other places and things like that. So I do like that it can provide that sense of community, but it is what you make of it, and it's like a cruise. You go on a cruise, there's a gajillion things you can do on a cruise, or you can sit on a lounge chair and look at the ocean and get suntan. That's your choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
whatever, makes you happy. Like, I definitely would see myself in a community at some point. Here, Colorado would be my preference for sure. It's certainly not anywhere hot.
The
Thank
one
you.
thing that Barbara kind of made me think about it is if you're going to move to a place like that, make sure that there's other people there that you know or family or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you're not going down there like she did with her husband and then he passes away and she's essentially alone. I think you hit on a good point there. I think she had a lot of difficulty maybe making friends
Mhm.
because a lot of people I met through work.
Mhm.
It's
Likewise.
easy. Yeah.
But it's
So,
interesting because she was working at the villages and she
mhm.
was doing some type of office work, and it just was strange to me that she didn't have any kind of camaraderie with the people she
Yeah.
was working
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
So that
I
was
wonder.
interesting as
Yeah.
well.
Maybe they didn't go into that, or it wouldn't help the storyline if she had other friends. So
Right.
I think I need to do a deep dive on this.
Yeah, because it almost seemed to me like she was looking for a male companion
Yeah. Yeah.
versus friend. Because to
And I
me, the
knew you'd.
friends were there. That she could have made some friends. In the
Well,
acting class, she did really well in the acting class.
she did. She did. And then
So
she went to that one group where they did the tambourine thing.
yes.
I don't know if, yeah. I mean,
Hmm. That she didn't seem too into, which again,
yeah.
try it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't work out. Okay.
Yeah.
Cross that one off the list, and there's a bajillion more things you can try
Mhm. Mhm.
because there's so much. It seemed like I thought it was gonna be more of a culty thing when you had recommended this, so I was interested to watch it, and
Oh.
it still was very good, but I expected it to be like really go south, like the place was terrible. It's all fluff on the outside, but it's like a cult on the inside. And then it wasn't like that at all. It was really just following, a few people in their daily lives. And like I said, and edited. Don't forget, folks, edited. Like if you think what you hear on these episodes is exactly what we chat about every time.
It is. It is.
For the most part. It's cleaned up though. There's always editing.
And done very well by our own auntie.
Oh, well, you're going to make me blush. Sure. Thank you. I enjoyed it. I thought it gave a good glimpse into what those communities can provide, what you feel your comfort level is for partaking in them. I mean, I talk about it all the time. One of the big reasons I moved over to my house was because of the community center. Now ask me how many times I've been there since I've lived here.
How many times have you been there since you lived there?
Actually, like take a class or interact or anything like that? None. Oh, no, I went to the gym once. That's right. I did go to the gym once. But other than that, I haven't been there.
What were you thinking?
Right. I was trying to work out the issues with my back last summer. So I wanted to walk on their treadmill and get it moving. I think I made it worse, but that's all right.
Have you seen those walk pads?
Walk pads?
They've been coming up in my Facebook feeds. They're like a treadmill, only there's no
motor
handle thing. Yeah, you just get on there and walk. They look kind of
roll
cool.
Or something?
Yeah, there's wheels on it that you can. Oh, underneath it's electric, so there's some type of belt in there. I think for somebody like my age, you might want something you can hold on to. These don't have a bar or anything to hold on to. Could be dangerous for some of us, but they look cool. But that's the glory of advertising.
Exactly. It could be an add-on too. I've seen that before where you could buy the treadmill, just the treadmill piece, and then add a bar to it. So that it could be an option. But I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen that advertisement.
No.
Anything else with respect to some kind of heaven, Auntie Joan?
Oh, I think we've got it covered.
Most excellent.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. And now we're to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we have to talk about. This week, it's my pick, and it's Otezla with Ned's Plaque Psoriasis. So Otezla is...
It's not a laughing matter.
It's not. Plaque psoriasis is a very serious thing. However, the commercial that they chose to make for this particular drug, Otezla, is... I don't quite fully understand it. He gets out of a car and it turns into where he's on a red carpet, and like the only thing people ever see is, Ned's plaque psoriasis, but now he's going to take Otezla, and there's paparazzi, and he takes a picture with some old woman, and it makes no sense.
Nope.
Then he gets into a movie. Then he meets up with what we assume is a blind date. I don't know. He goes into the movie theater. They're watching a movie. They give you all the information about Otezla. They freeze frame people. They showed clips of diversity throughout the movie theater, which I found interesting.
Yes.
And then they go back to live action, I guess. And they leave the theater, and he looks over, and there's the old woman in different clothes.
She's in different clothes.
She's in
I didn't catch
clothes,
that.
but that's about it. And I do not understand what the point of that. I mean, I get the point of the drug. I think the drug is important. I assume important. Hopefully it does what it says it's supposed to do and all that for the people who suffer from plaque psoriasis. But the commercial makes absolutely no sense.
No sense at all.
Thank you, Auntie Joan. I thought for sure you'd be like, I watched it, and what I got from it was, but you didn't. I'm glad.
Come on.
Well, usually you have better insights than me. I just take it for face value, and I'm like, because I don't want to think about it too much, And
me, I got all kinds of time on my hands to think about stuff that doesn't matter.
But this one was just, I'm glad that you came to the same conclusion.
Well,
I don't get it.
The old lady. I mean,
what's the point of her?
Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, maybe she's like a stalker or something. The way she kind of looked at him afterwards when they came out.
And
it's
winked
like,
at him?
Yeah.
Gave him a little wink?
And it's like a blind date, or maybe somebody met online, and they go to the movie. They sit there, they watch the movie, they have popcorn, and they walk out, and it's like, okay, goodbye. And it's, why bother?
I don't know. I just don't quite understand what what they're trying to convey with that commercial.
Yeah. Yeah.
The words they say, again, talking about the drug itself, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the pictorial or the theme that they're trying to demonstrate to us through that video, I don't get it.
I don't
And
either.
the worst part of it, Auntie Joan, it was on my streaming service when I first got the Peacock again.
Yeah.
I started rewatching Parks and Rec because I love that show and I've watched it a gajillion times from start to finish and I just love it. And I hadn't been able to watch it for a long time, so I was jonesing. So I started watching that remember I pay for the commercial version of Peacock. So about every 10 minutes, I was seeing that commercial. I've been meaning to talk about this for so long. And I finally went back and started watching Parks and Rec again. Something wasn't on that I was expecting. I was like, I'm going to throw on Parks and Rec. And I'm like, Otezla commercial. It's still here. I'm adding it to the list. I had to text myself immediately and get it out onto our list because I just can't stand that commercial.
Yeah, like you say, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Unless, maybe the person who was in charge of making the commercial had some family that needed jobs and they thought they'd throw them in or something. I can't think of any other reason.
I don't know. Now, to me, because when he first gets out of the car and he's on the red carpet with the paparazzi and the old woman, they're talking about how all anybody ever sees is Ned's plaque psoriasis. So it's not like it was cleared up. He was on the red carpet when he was inflamed. It was so, to me, that would have been after he took the Otezla. Now he's ready for the red carpet, kind of thing. And and they did the exact opposite. And I did not understand what they were trying to.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I think they really missed the boat on this one.
I think it's a miss.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad. I thought for sure you're going to be like, no, when you think about it, this is what they're trying to. And I'm like, oh. And I'd have to give you my standard line of I'm not going to give it that much time. But you didn't. You actually didn't get it either. So, yay, it really makes no sense.
I've seen it enough times where I've tried to make sense of it. And, I mean, once the commercial's over, I don't think about it anymore.
Right.
But
right.
I've always, it's just like, what are they talking about? What's the deal?
And then I kept thinking it was me, like I wasn't seeing something at the beginning of the commercial that would have tied it all, like given it the context it needed. Because I'd be doing, a commercial would come on and I start looking at my phone or whatever. Then I'm like, oh, it's that stupid Otezla commercial. What are they talking about? And it was always about the old woman. I'm like, I don't know what she has to do with anything. And why does she show up again at the end?
That is so weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Oh, I might have to go on the Google machine and try to see what I can find out what people said.
See,
because, and I should have done it before today because, there's people out there who have discussed this.
Oh, but not as fun as we do.
No, never. Never, ever, ever.
All right, Auntie Joan, anything else you want to chat about with our listener today?
No, I think I'm pretty much talked out.
You're chatted out, are you?
I think so. I finished my tea and I'm ready to go.
All right, then. Well, that sounds like we're at a wrap on our episode of Pickled Watermelon Rinds. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
This is Auntie signing off.
And Auntie Joan saying bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.